So I get with my mentor and I tell her I want to do a rebrand. And I kind of had already been speaking on doing a rebrand or rebranding Sanai Skin for some time period. And so when I did tell her now in March, she was like, all right, let's do it. Let's hire a designer to design a new logo, new labels, new everything. And I was like, I don't know. I don't know about, I think I like my logo and I think I want to keep my logo. And at that moment, I did not realize that I was just holding on to a lot of emotional attachment to my logos and to my labels, and for real reasons, because this was the start of Sanai Skin. Like, this is what I started with. I had these labels for a little bit over a year now. It showed so much growth that I was just unready to let go. And so I took some time and I prayed on it. And while I was praying on it, I decided to make a mood board and a branding board. And if you are a new business or you're reestablishing your business or you're rebranding, always do a mood board and a branding board. So I did a mood board, which you can easily do on Pinterest. I just started looking up Black women, and I don't remember the actual terms that I was looking up, but I made a mood board, and the theme of the mood board ended up being unapologetic Black women, comfortable in your skin, just vibrant, all beautiful color hues. And basically the aesthetic just ended up being really cohesive. After around like 5 minutes, after around just getting over like the oh yeah, I'm making a rebranding board or a mood board, after the excitement went down, I started really getting real detailed with the pictures I was choosing. And at the end of that mood board ended up being unapologetic Black girl realness, which became my new slogan, be unapologetic in your skin. And in my mood board had a consistency, all different brown skin tones, orange, green, light and airy. And so when I started seeing the mood board and the clothing of it and the colors and aesthetic, that's how I made my branding board. And I made my branding board via Canva. And so I got on the Adobe wheel and I just looked up corresponding colors that look good together. And I already wanted orange in my branding colors because orange was in my mood board, and so was green. And so I wanted to keep with that aesthetic, and my mood board helped me pick my branding colors. And that just ended up being like a 1 to 2 day process, because I was like really just trying to, I knew I wanted bright and vibrant colors. I just didn't know what type of colors. And I found my colors, put it on my branding board. I made my fonts, the type of textures I wanted when I take pictures. All of that was on my branding board. And that's essential when you are hiring a designer to redesign your labels, when you're hiring a photographer. You need all of that already. So when it's time to get those balls rolling, that you can send those mood boards and those branding boards to your photographer or your designer or whoever else, and so they can automatically have the feel of what you're trying to create. So I ended up going to an old friend of mine from high school back when I lived in Miami, because I'm from Miami, and she has her own graphic design, web design company. Her name is Martha. Her business called Smart Web Plans. I've worked with her before, so it was just a seamless process. And I hit her up, text her, and I was like, hey girl, I need a whole revamp for Sanai Skin. And mind you, I said I was a little bit uneasy about getting rid of my logo, but I was like, Martha, I want to do a revamp of Sanai Skin, and I want you to do it, but I still want to stay true to the originality of Sanai Skin. I like my logo, I like my labels. I still want that, that boldness, but just a refresher. And so she sent me different logo designs, and so I took that to social media. I went on my personal page and my business page, Sanai Skin, and I asked my followers to help me pick a logo because all of them were beautiful. And they picked top 2 designs, and I went with one of the top 2 designs that both of my followers chose, and I absolutely love the logos. She made the business cards, love them. And then when it came to the labels, that took a little bit of time. And prior to me even hiring her to do my labels and my logo, I had already, again, established the ingredients, because I did a little bit of a revamp for the scrubs and the butters. I said I already wrote down the scientific name, the ink name of each of those ingredients. And I did that because I was thinking ahead. I envisioned my products to be in storefront locations, and locations maybe like a Target. And you have to have certain things laid out on your labels to follow the FDA regulations, i.e. the ink name of your ingredients, where your location is, where your products is being made, where is it being created, the measurements. Those things have to be on your labels if you plan on, or if you want to have your products in stores. And so I had already envisioned that, because I have a vision for Sanai Skin. I know where I'm going. So I had wrote that down and I sent that over to her. The only thing that I did not have solidified was the body washes, because I wanted my body washes to be identical to my soap bars. And at that time period, I did not know if I want my body washes to be made by myself or made by another company. And it was a long process with that. I'm not going to lie. It took about 6 to 7 weeks, and Martha was very patient with me. And we were taking our time with the labels. We were going over different different fonts that I had already chosen in my branding board, and different colors that were in my branding board. And it finally hit me right before I finalized my body washes. It hit me. I want Sanai Skin to be bold and vibrant. My mood board is bold and vibrant. Let's make the labels more than bold and vibrant. Let's make them cohesive, but let's make them stand out. And so that is exactly what we did. I called up Martha and I was like, we gotta get on the phone, let's chat. And I was like, I have this vision for Sanai Skin and these labels. I don't know if it's gonna look good, but let's try it. And so essentially I made one collection, one color of the branding of my branding board, or my branding colors. I made another collection, another color, another collection, another color, and so forth. So they all are cohesive with the same designs, but each collection has their own color that you will know and be able to relate to when you see it. And that's what I wanted, because I like for my products to stand out, to just be as bold and unapologetic as myself and as my consumers. And Martha nailed it. And as well as with the bags. So prior to me revamping, rebranding Sanai Skin, I already had scrubs in a bag. But they were just like little craft bags, and I would stick a label over them. And that's how they were. They were cute, but they weren't top tier. They weren't luxurious. They weren't high class. They weren't unapologetic realness. And so I was like, I had already sent her the measurements for it. And she was just like, I don't know. I don't really know if I understand you, but we're going to make it work. And so at that time period of her designing my bags, designing the washes, designing all the labels, I had to look up vendors for these bags that I wanted. And I first started off looking in America. And to be more particular, I was looking at vendors in Atlanta, Georgia, because that's where I reside right now. My thought process was, if I look for vendors in Atlanta, Georgia, I don't have to pay shipping costs. So I can just go pick it up. Vendors in America cost money. So that was not going to work. I found a vendor here in America, love them, but they was a little bit too pricey. Their minimum order price was way out of my budget. Know your budget, stick with your budget. Don't let nobody take you out of your budget, okay? So I had to go to Alibaba. I never ever purchased from Alibaba or AliExpress in my life before. So that was a whole new process for me. I hit up a few vendors after I searched, like mailer bags or whatever I searched. I think it was like custom mailer bags. And I found a few vendors, and I messaged a few vendors, and I solidified one vendor. And we had been talking throughout the whole process of Martha finalizing the labels. So as soon as Martha finalized the labels in March, she finalized the labels towards the end of May. She finalized the labels towards the end of May, and I sent over the drafts to the vendor. She sent over the proofs to me, and I paid the deposit. Everything was fine, copacetic. And I want to make something clear. So when you're hiring a vendor, whether it's in the USA or Alibaba or whatever, make sure their production times and their shipping times meet your needs. A lot of the vendors in America, some of their timelines matched up with some of the vendors in China on Alibaba. And so they was also a cheaper price on Alibaba. So that's another reason why I went to Alibaba or went with my vendor, because the timeline was somewhat the same, but the price was a little bit different. So I'm ready to go. I have clarity. I'm like uplifted. I'm spiritual realness right here, and we're fine. So I signed off of the drafts on a Monday. This is in June. On a Wednesday, I also paid my deposit as well. On Wednesday, I think it was a full body day. I was at the gym, and my vendor messaged me and say, "Oh, there is a mistake. Our designer made an error." And I'm like, "Okay, like what's the issue?" She said the designer, so at the bottom of my bags is a pouch area. So there's a stand-up pouch, and it opens up so the bags can stand up. At the bottom was going to be, or is going to be, the color of each of the bags. So each bag has their own distinct color, matching the collection, matching whatever brand color that I have for them, right? And the proofs that she sent me, the bags at the bottom was the same colors as the bags itself, as a design. And that's what I signed off on and paid my deposit on. Her designer, the company's designer, designed it wrong. It was supposed to be aluminum because of the discount that I received. And so when she messaged me that and told me that her designer made a mistake, that the bottom should have been aluminum, not the color of each corresponding bag, we hit a standstill. And I was like, okay, so fix it. Fix it. And she was like, "Oh, we can't, it's not feasible." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" She was like, if you want the colors to be at the bottom of the bag and not aluminum, you have to pay more, because we already gave you a special pricing, and we're not really in, so we basically can't give you that. I'm not paying more for your mistake. I'm not paying more for your designer's mistake. I signed off of what I signed off of, what you sent to me, what your designer made, that my graphic designer, completed. I paid my deposit. Let's do what I signed off of. I'm not, what are you talking about? And she was just like, "Oh no, like we can't do that. It's not feasible. We're barely making money as it is off of this sale. We can't afford to do that." Sis, so you telling me I have to pay more for what I signed off of, for what menu agreed upon? No, we're not doing this. And I was so mad because I was at the gym trying to burn some calories, stay in shape, because I work out. I work out every morning. That's a part of my regimen. And now you messing up my workout. On top of that, I already called my photographer. So I have this photographer in Atlanta, Georgia. I will link her information below as well. I've been using her for a while. So I always keep a black queen around me that keep a black entrepreneurship queen that around you that, you know, that does great quality work, clearly. And I sent her, there's another reason why you need a branding board and a mood board. I sent her my branding board and my mood board. And before I was able to tell her what type of photos I wanted for this rebrand, she was like, oh, let's do this, let's do that, let's do this, let's do that. We're gonna need a big old tub so we can do this and that. And I was just like, okay. Like, I was like, yeah. She was more excited for me than I was. And I was like, yes. Like, she didn't even give me a chance to speak on what type of photos I wanted. It was everything she envisioned, it was better than I even thought of. I was like, we're going with that. We're going with that. So we already set up a date for the photo shoot on the pending timeline that my vendor gave me. And I thought the vendor was a good vendor because she was cheaper than a lot of the American prices, and the production and shipping times was equaled up to the vendors here in America. And the vendors in America, their price per bag for my body scrubs would have been $1 or more. But the vendor that I was working with, who designer messed up on the proof, price per bag was 78 cents. And another side note, make sure that whatever your costs for your bags, for your products, for your jars, for your ingredients, for your shipping costs, make sure it's at a low price. And this is important because you want to make sure that you are hitting a 3x, 4x profit margin. So if my ingredients cost $4, my bags cost $1, Shopify takes $1, fees, and shipping costs, like for my shipping bags or whatever, to package my products in is $1. Am I really making money? Like, are you really making money? No, you're not making money. And so that's why I went to Alibaba and I found my vendor, just for her to tell me her designer made an error, and if I want the bottom of the bags to be a certain color, I would have to pay more. Girl, what? That's not partnership denied. I need my money back. So I'm upset. And the reason why I'm upset is because my photo shoot timeline, and I'm at the gym and she's messing up my calorie burn. And so now I have to go home and look for another vendors. So I'm not burning calories. So I get on the treadmill and I'm just like, okay, what should I do? What's going on? And I was like, you know what? Hold on 1 second. God, what is happening right now? Like, what am I missing? What are you trying to show me? Because I know there's a reason behind everything. Like, this did not just happen. I've been talking to her for weeks. This just not happened out of nowhere. Something is happening. Like, let me in on it. And I was also upset because in order for me to get rid of my products, another efficient way for me to get rid of the products that I was no longer going to sell after the rebrand or the relaunch, I was going to farmers markets and selling off those products there. And I was like, I can't go to the farmers market now because I have to find vendors. That was just so annoying. I was so mad, but I was like, I was mad that I had to redo the process over. I wasn't mad about the vendor anymore because God is always going to work it out. And I just know it had to be a reason why that happened.